My name's Ethan, and I'm 31. If you asked my family, they'd likely label me the quiet one, or worse, the guy who never quite got it together. I've always been understated, content with a simple life. I wasn't the star of the show. That role was reserved for my older brother Daniel, who dove headfirst into the finance world like our dad, or my younger sister Chloe, who shines as an influencer with a picture-perfect online presence. Me, I chose a less flashy path, working a solid remote tech job, earning good money without making a spectacle of it. I preferred staying out of the spotlight, but what I didn't see until recently was that they didn't just overlook me, they saw me as a joke. It all started with a text from Mom in our family group chat. Ethan's birthday dinner this Friday. Ideas. For a brief moment, I felt a spark of hope. Maybe this time they'd consider me, maybe even pick the vegetarian-friendly cafe I'd mentioned downtown. Then the replies came. Daniel wrote, no need for anything extravagant. Save the nice places for real achievements. Chloe chimed in, lol, for real. Buffet's fine. Mom just tossed in a thumbs-up emoji. No one asked my opinion. No one checked my availability. As usual, they picked the place, and I went along with it. Friday came, and I pulled into the parking lot of a rundown buffet with dim lights, sticky floors, and a sneeze guard that looked like it hadn't been cleaned in years. They were already there, plates half-eaten, no decorations, no cake, just a tacky sign reading Happy B-Day. Uncle Greg muttered, "There's the birthday boy," through a mouthful of limp fries. I forced a smile, nodded, and sat, trying to brush it off. I was used to being pushed aside. Then came the card, an unmarked envelope with a generic greeting inside, scrawled in Sharpie. Maybe next year you'll give us something worth celebrating. I stared at it, expecting a laugh or a just kidding. But Daniel smirked. Chloe sipped her drink and said, "It's just a nudge." Mom chuckled like it was clever. It wasn't a prank. That's how they truly viewed me. A letdown. I stayed quiet, offered a faint smile, and snapped a photo of the card on the table, capturing the greasy plates and their amused faces in the background. Then I stood, placed the card down, and said, "Thanks for dinner." No anger, no sharpness, just calm. I walked out before they could say a word. The silence that followed was the loudest moment of the night. No one followed me. No texts came through. I sat in my car, staring at the photo on my phone, frozen. I studied it for a long time. Something shifted inside me that night. I wasn't furious, not exactly. I was finished, done being the quiet punching bag when things got tense. For 3 years, I'd been building something they knew nothing about. Freelance projects, signed deals, a side venture quietly growing. I hadn't shared it because I didn't need their approval. But now I realized I didn't want their company either. 3 days later, the family chat blew up. Chloe texted first, anyone else locked out of Netflix? Daniel followed, asking about Spotify and iCloud. What's going on? Mom added the shared drives inaccessible. Dad, who rarely texted, wrote, internet's out. Ethan, can you check the account? I didn't respond. I wanted them to sit with it. They didn't know that since 2020, I'd been paying for all their streaming services, cloud storage, and utilities. When Dad got laid off, I stepped in to keep things running, never making a big deal of it. I didn't ask for praise, but I kept records. I was tired of being invisible until something broke. What really rattled them wasn't the missing Netflix or the unpaid electric bill. It was the message I sent that night. One text, one image, the photo from the buffet. No words, just the picture. That spoke volumes. Daniel replied first, seriously, Ethan, get over it. Mom wrote, are you this upset over a card? Chloe added, it was just a joke. Relax, I said nothing. I muted the chat, blocked their numbers, and went about my day. But the quiet didn't last. They hadn't yet realized what I'd done. By Wednesday, my phone was buzzing nonstop, over 30 missed calls. I ignored them but listened to a few voicemails. They grew more frantic. Ethan, sweetheart, call me. Your dad can't access the bank account. Hey, no argument here, but the tax files are gone. Ethan, this is serious. The mortgage payment didn't go through. Dad says your name's on it. What's happening? That last one stopped me. That's when they understood what they'd been relying on for 3 years. When Dad lost his job, Chloe had to pause college and Daniel lost big on a risky startup. I stepped up. Around that time, I landed a major freelance contract with a company that later took off. I didn't brag. I didn't ask for gratitude, I just helped. I routed their bills through my accounts. I even took over the mortgage to save their house. I never expected repayment, that wasn't the point. Daniel's face shifted from confused to annoyed. So you're cutting us off over a card? I met his gaze and said, no, I'm showing you how you've leaned on me for 3 years. That card was just evidence. He stared, maybe searching for a retort, then left a pack of soda by the door and walked away. I didn't touch it. That night I sat in my living room, finally at ease, not because I'd gotten even, not because they were scrambling, but because I'd chosen myself. I owed them nothing now, no apologies, no money, no quiet compliance. The next morning I got a voicemail from Dad. He rarely called me directly, always preferring group texts or stern looks. His voice was calm but edged with controlled anger. "Ethan, your mom's upset, your sister's crying, you've made your point, now step up and fix this. You don't turn your back on family because things get hard." I listened twice. That line, "step up and fix this," echoed like a warning. It wasn't a request. It was an order, the kind I'd grown up obeying, cloaked as concern but really about control. That's how Dad operated. He didn't shout or lash out, but he made sure you knew who was in charge, even when he wasn't paying a cent. What was almost comical in a dark way was that he still thought I owed him. After I'd covered the mortgage for 3 years, paid Mom's hospital bills when her insurance lapsed, and bylaid Chloe out of her credit card debt, I had proof of it all. I'd been their anchor, and they only noticed when I let go. Later that day, Mom messaged me on Instagram. She only used it for sharing recipes or church posts, so I knew it was serious. Her note was short and formal, like she was trying to maintain control. "We're struggling. I don't know what you're doing, but you can still fix this. Your dad says we could refinance the house if your name's on the papers. Another missed payment and we could lose it. Think of your family. That house, the one I grew up in, the one they upgraded with loans they couldn't afford while I lived in a tiny studio post-college. The one I kept afloat when Dad's pride wouldn't admit they were drowning. It never felt like home, even when I was paying for it. Now they expected me to save it again. I didn't reply. Instead, I started gathering paperwork, not to help them, but to protect myself. I'd never officially handed over control of the utilities, subscriptions, or the loan I'd co-signed when Chloe tried and failed to start a clothing store. It was all still linked to me. If they defaulted, it'd hit my credit. That was the scariest part, not their manipulation or demands, but how effortlessly they'd tied their lives to mine without my full consent. So I got to work. I canceled the cosigner agreement, removed my name from the electric bill, locked my credit report, and secured every account that wasn't just mine. I wasn't just walking away. I was locking the door behind me. It took 2 days. When I was done, I got one last message that hit hard, from Nana. She was the only one who ever made me feel like I was enough, just as I was. She'd sneak me cookies when I was sent to my room as a kid and always remembered my birthday with a handwritten note saying, "You're my favorite." But this message was heavier. I heard what happened. "I don't blame you, Ethan, but I miss you. Don't let their mistakes make you cold. You're a good heart. Keep it." I sat with that for a while. The next day, I drove to Nana's house with her favorite lemon scones and a bundle of tulips. We sat on her porch quiet for a bit before she spoke. "They don't deserve you," she said, stirring her tea, "but they'll come back when they're desperate. Pride crumbles when the bills pile up." She was right. The next day, after I cut off the backup credit line they'd been quietly using, there was another knock at my door. Not Daniel this time. It was Chloe. She looked different, no makeup, eyes red, wearing a hoodie and jeans, holding a grocery bag like a peace offering. "I brought food," she said, voice hoarse. "Can we talk?" I didn't move at first, hand on the doorframe, studying her like she was a stranger, because in many ways she was. But something in her face, genuine or well-practiced, made me step aside. She walked in, set the bag on the counter, and glanced around like she was surprised I'd let her in. "Ethan, we messed up. Big time," she said. I stayed silent, watching. I'm not pretending we didn't say awful things. I gave a dry laugh, thinking of the card. "I said things I regret. I've been selfish. I didn't see how much you were carrying for us." She looked up, eyes wet. "I didn't want to see it. It was easier to think you were just the quiet one with no big dreams." The room went still. She was right. It was unraveling. I could feel it coming the moment she'd asked me to fix everything. But I wasn't the guy who sat silently at that buffet a week ago. I looked at her for a long moment before speaking. She shifted nervously, tugging at her sleeve like she was bracing for a hit. "I'm not here to beg," she said quickly, like she wanted to clear the air. "I just thought if you heard our side, you might rethink yours." I leaned back. "You think I don't deserve respect unless I succeed by your standards, that I'm only useful when the Wi-Fi's out or a bill's due?" She flinched. "I know it was wrong, but we thought you were okay with it. You never pushed back. You just helped like it didn't bother you." I sat down, my voice steady but years of pent-up frustration rising. "Want to know something strange?" I asked. "I used to think it didn't matter either. I thought staying quiet and doing my part was easier. Let Daniel climb the corporate ladder, let you shine online, let mom and dad pretend I had no drive. I didn't need the spotlight. But then I realized the problem wasn't that I didn't matter. It was that you all agreed I didn't, and that felt normal to you. She sank into a chair, looking small, like she wanted to vanish. I guess we thought you liked staying in the background, she said softly. That you were just different. No, I said. I was put there. Every time I accomplished something, it was brushed off or called a fluke. Every win was overshadowed by Daniel's deals or your viral posts. I was the foundation, and while you built your lives on me, no one looked down to see who was holding it up. I stood and walked to the counter, picking up the bag she'd brought. It was takeout from my favorite Thai place, one I'd mentioned casually over a year ago. This was the first time anyone in the family had remembered something about me. I appreciate this, I said, setting it down. But food doesn't erase years of being ignored. I know, she said quickly. It can't fix everything, it's just a start. I exhaled, rubbing my forehead. Remember when I helped you start your boutique? I asked. She nodded. Yeah, do you know how many payments I deferred to cover that $27,000? She swallowed. I didn't know that. Of course not, I said. No one asked. She looked at me with something like guilt, maybe for the first time seeing me clearly. You want me to come back? I said, almost speaking to the whole family. Back to being the safety net you relied on while mocking me. You acted like I had no burdens, no dreams, no life of my own. You want the old me, the one who always said yes, even when you laughed at me, she spoke fast. I swear I don't. I want the real you, the one finally standing up. For a moment I wanted to believe her, but it wasn't enough anymore. I'm not coming back, I said quietly. Her eyes widened. Ethan, I'm done holding you up. She opened her mouth but stopped. I continued. I've closed every shared account. I've untangled myself from your finances. You'll need to handle your own bills and fix your credit. I'm not doing it anymore. She looked like she wanted to argue but didn't. I didn't mean, she started, then trailed off. I nodded. I don't hate you, I added. This isn't about revenge. It's about refusing to let you use me. I deserve more than obligation or pity. I deserve to be valued. She whispered, I do value you. Then she stepped back. Will you ever come back? She asked. I shook my head. Only if I'm welcomed as someone you actually want, not just someone you need. She nodded slowly, tears spilling. She picked up the food bag and held it out. Keep it, she said. Even if you never want to see us again, please take it. I took it, the one thing I accepted. When she left, I locked the door. For the first time in years, a weight lifted. The quiet in my apartment wasn't lonely, it was peaceful. It was freedom. The next few days were calm. No group texts, no desperate calls, no pressure pulling me away from my own path. I used that time to build something new, my own life. I signed a high-paying remote contract with a German tech firm, cleared my remaining debts, and booked a solo trip to Barcelona, a dream I'd had since college. It took them a while to realize I wasn't bluffing. Daniel sent one last message. You've made your point, but don't forget who raised you. I didn't reply. I saved it in a folder I now called Reminders. Mom mailed a birthday card the next year, no jabs, just a short note. I'm sorry, I miss you. Love, Mom. I didn't write back not out of anger, but because I'd learned something vital. You can let go of the pain without letting people back in to hurt you again. 6 months later, Nana sent a letter with a photo of us on her porch, her holding tulips and a scone. On the back, her handwriting shaky. They're learning slowly. You don't need to sacrifice your peace for them. Keep going, I'm proud. That one I framed. Now I live in a bright apartment in Portland. I work with a kind, collaborative team. I walk to a nearby river every morning, letting my thoughts wander. I've started painting again. I don't share my victories online or drop hints in chats because I don't need their attention to feel real anymore. I don't need anyone's. So, what do you think of this story? Do you agree with Ethan's choices, or do you see it differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next one. See you soon.